and welcome to the live lounge here at Open Banking Expo Canada 2026. I'm joined by two of our speakers. They're fresh off the stage from a conversation all about credit unions. So we have with us today on the sofa Jamie Kruspel, who is Chief Transformation Officer at Mainstreet Credit Union, and Sandeep Kawadkar, who is Head of Product Pricing and Loyalty at Servus. Welcome to the live lounge.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Jamie, let's start with you. Can you give us a little summary of what the discussion focused on and who else joined you on stage?
Sure. So our moderator was Sabina, who represents our national organization, the Canadian Credit Union Association. There was Sandeep, myself, friends Fabio, Antoine, and Jody, representing credit unions, both big, not so big, and from all parts of the country. So a good swath to represent our industry.
Absolutely. Well, look, Sandeep, what were some of the key takeaways that you've come away with from that talk?
A couple of key takeaways for us from a credit union system perspective was more about getting our own house in order versus actually thinking about what open banking is going to do to our business overarchingly. So as much as it was future proofing our business, it was also about getting what we have and actually leveraging it better while we still have time. The other part that came out of it was really about changing our mindsets for growth versus kind of being focused a lot more on compliance and risk aversion and things of those nature. Being really laser focused on what outcomes we're seeking and actually being very ambitious about it.
Mm-hmm. Were there any talking points that really made you reflect on where the credit union space is at the moment and what needs to be done?
Yeah, I think we agreed that in the pursuit of primacy, so what that really means is we need to be our members' first point of contact for their financial lives. To do that, we can't rely on what we've done in the past. We win based on trust and experience, but that is not an opportunity we're going to get in a data portable world. So we have to be really easy to find and start a relationship with so that we can win over the long term. And we don't need to wait for legislation or for rules to do that. We can get our own house in order now and start improving our processes to make it faster to get a loan from us to become our member, as well as use the data we already have.
Mm-hmm. And the credit union space is huge in Canada, obviously. So in terms of your members, how aware are they at this point about consumer-driven banking and data portability in general? And is there a kind of education piece still to be done?
I think that education in general across Canadian consumers is probably low. And that won't be a surprise. I think that's probably true for any geography where open banking or consumer-driven banking has gone through. And that's completely understandable because at the end of the day, the consumers are looking for outcomes, not necessarily learning what goes behind building it. And so the conversation we had was we do need to, from a trust perspective, we do need to educate them, but in the context of what outcomes that education will drive or what experiences it will enable. And that's how we're thinking about it holistically within credit union system. We have, like Jamie said, the trust quotient is really high. So we don't necessarily want to break it, but at the same time, we just don't want to bombard them with information that's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. But when an outcome is being enabled based on the education that's being provided, it's received a lot better.
Ellie, I believe when open banking launched in Britain, there was an opt-in model, and the opt-in rates were low compared to expectations, I believe. That's still true. And I think one of the takeaways I have for that is we shouldn't have it as an opt-in in Canada. It really shouldn't even be a thing that our members are even aware of at all. You shared a really interesting point about making the education focused and timely so that it shows the value of using their data. And where I think we need to go is we just need to, that oversimplifies. We need to make it incredibly easy for our members to live the lives they want to live and have the money be there for them. That's our job. Consumer-driven banking will let that happen. Leave that to us to figure out on behalf of our members, but we need to make it happen for our members.
Jamie, you've been coming to these expos ever since we launched, actually.
First one.
Exactly. So what's changed this year, do you think?
Ooh, that's a great one. And if I could I first start with what hasn't changed?
Yeah.
I'm going to start there. So what hasn't changed, sadly, is the overall progress towards any type of clarity on what it's going to look like. we seem to make steps, and for every step we take, it opens up more questions that we realize that there's more as a country, as a system, as a government that we need to figure out. And I'm not saying that to be critical. I'm just saying it really is. But I think what's changed with the expo this year is the enthusiasm and the participation. And I think just the level of, how do I say it without a cuss word? Give a crappedness that people have about doing something for their customers and for their members. That's what I take away from this one. There is a level of enthusiasm to do stuff that I have not seen at past ones. It's at a new level this year.
And from your point of view, what excites you, given the conversations that you've had on stage, that you've heard on stage, but also on the expo floor?
Yeah, I think it's similar. I think there's a lot more talk about how do we use it for the benefit of customers versus talking about hypotheticals, compliance, infrastructures, things that, yeah, they're important, don't get me wrong, you can't enable, but it doesn't really solve any problem. To me, the adoption really is going to come from use cases that make a material difference for consumers. And so there's been a lot more conversation about that versus constantly being talking about what we can do, why we can do it, whether it's infrastructure, yes, all of those other things. So I think that's exciting, and that's actually refreshing to see that we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fabio brought up the need to support small business and commercial members and some of the needs they have. And one use case that came up was connecting their transaction data to their resource planning and accounting software, help them run their business better. And then Jody pointed out, you don't need open banking to do that. We can do that today. That's exactly right. We're getting to specific, tangible things we can do on behalf of our members.
Exactly.
So one final question then for both of you. What should leaders be taking back to their teams from this expo today?
Yeah, from my perspective, I think this is going to become real at some point of time. But at the same time, I think the theme has been there's things you can do right now, not only to improve the outcomes for your customers based on the data and the other aspects that you already have. So build on that, because it's gonna prepare you better for what's to come when open banking becomes a reality, whether it's read access, write access, the case might be.
I'm gonna go with 2. So 1, because I've been coming to these since the very beginning. Ellie, you and your team, the investment that you're making in Canada, bringing professionals together to figure things out and get going, is paying dividends. So thank you for that. And the second thing that leaders should take away from this is we don't need to wait for Godot. We should just get going.
Well, look, on that note, it's been a pleasure to have you both in the live lounge. Thank you, Jamie and Sandeep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.